Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Move podcast, brought to you each and every day this summer by Ketone IQ. Of course, made by HVMN. We'll talk about that a little later. Talking about Stage 10. Alain, what did we do?
Stage 10. Vulcania to Isoar. Vulcania to Isoar.
It almost sounded like of course, there's a lot of volcanoes around there. That must have been the thing he said. What an inspirational victory from Pello Bilbao. I think it's been widely covered. Obviously, losing a teammate in the Tour. We touched on this about a week or so ago, but losing Gino Mater in the Tour Switzerland, you could see that he was inspired today, and certainly in his post-race interview was very emotional.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's one of the most significant victories of the Tour de France. There was a lot of meaning behind it. I mean, he was really good friends with Gino, was at the race when it happened, and you just see how emotional he was at the finish line press conference. Just super special to be able to do that for Gino and his family, and mad respect for his victory today.
By the way, Pello Bilbao been a pro since 2009. Again, we talk about all these young guys but it just, that's 2 days in a row. I guess we got some old farts winning stages. We'll get into all the action. But before we do, today's show brought to you by Roka. Roka has invented a new class of eyewear, glasses optimized for performance. So whether it's on the performance side, the casual side, the prescription side, no other eyewear brand can keep up with these guys and gals are doing. And by the way, they just keep making their stuff better and better. The technology is the same throughout, whether it's on the performance side all the way down to the prescription side. The lenses and the optics are unmatched out there. Crystal clear, fog resistant, scratch resistant, and no matter how bad you're sweating, ooh, how you doing? Look at George,
see,
guys.
They don't give me the aviators, but I kind of like these right here. You know what I'm saying?
That is a good look. And for those watching at home, I could just stop talking. There's the ad. Look at George. I mean, the guy is just.
What is that motto called? If people want to look it up, it's on the side.
That's a great question.
Inside.
It's on the inside.
The inside. Okay.
And those are the one Anna wears all the time. When she's out biking.
Oh, the Torinos.
The Torinos. You look like you're from, put those back on. You look like you're from Torino.
I got to put my Roka readers on to double check, but I ask for these all the time. The Torinos.
Yeah, you look like you're from Torino. Not only do a bunch of great cyclists wear them, a lot of other great athletes across the board, gold medalists, and also folks in the special forces, and hand-built in our hometown of Austin, Texas. The Move listeners get 20% off. Just go to Roka, that's ROKA.com to get you 20% off. By the way, use the code THEMOVE at Roka, ROKA.com. And if you too want to look like George, that's where you go.
Get
Torinos. The Torinos all black.
Well, they have the baby blues as well, which are really nice, like winter look. When you're going skiing, you got like the beanie on. That's a whole nother look.
Yeah, I touched on sweating. It is the time of year to sweat. We're out there sweating every day. Today's show also brought to you by Element. I sweat a lot, man. By the way, I got in from yesterday was rest day. Went to Brainerd, Minnesota, and picked up Olivia from summer camp, and which was awesome. It was great to see her. It's been there a month, which is a long time away for a young lady.
Those camps are cool because they cry when they first get there.
Yeah.
And then once they do it the second, third year, they cry when they leave.
Yeah. No, she wasn't crying when we dropped her off. She was like, see ya.
Yeah. That's awesome.
But she was very into it, and a beautiful part of the world. But when I got back, I did a little solo mish, George, out on the mountain bike, rode up Buttermilk, and I was sweating. I was sweating hard. I had my Element there. That is our go-to replacement drink, sports drink. It's a game changer. 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, 60 milligrams of magnesium. No sugar, no gluten, no artificial ingredients. There's no BS in there. It is the real deal. Our listeners can get a free Element sample pack with any order when you order over at drinklmnt.com/themove. Again, that's drinklmnt.com/themove. Dial in your flavors. They got a bunch of great flavors. The business is growing up. You're seeing it everywhere now.
So let me get this straight. You got back from Minnesota and you went to work out with Mark and did Buttermilk mountain bike
I didn't
ride?
want to. I did, yeah. Look, I didn't. I did. I got back.
Man.
We flew back, Jizzy. I did. It's not that long to go to the top of Buttermilk, but I rode up there. But
It's a hard ride.
That's a grind.
It's a grind. It was a grind. I took a little time at the top to reflect and do some
meditation.
Yeah, I did some namaste drills on top.
Can we have Lance back? Joe? Anybody?
And then later, and then went to the gym with Mark. Yeah, 2 a day in the afternoon. But
Damn.
buddy, this is I told
That was
you
a rest day. What'd you do?
I did nothing. I chilled. I needed a day off.
Well, anyways, but what a day! This was a very hard day. It's kind of hard to watch these stages. I mean, obviously you see the break succeed and they get away, but I just start to look at certain things. Obviously, you can look at the profile, and if you know what you're looking at, you're just like, okay, I'm not riding the course, but there doesn't look like there is a mile that's flat. It is up and down all day long. And I really kind of leave with two things. Which I always look at, total vert climbed on a stage like this, 10,000 feet. Yet another day of 10,000 feet. I mean, you guys are talking about Buttermilk, and that's a bear. That's 2,000 feet. I mean, I can't imagine doing 5 of those on a stage in the middle of the Tour de France. That's what they do. And then the main group with all the favorites was just left with 46 riders. I mean, that tells you just how hard and how many guys are just...
And after a rest day when you're out of sorts.
Well, George was, I was doing something else early in the day when the race started, but apparently
as an ex-rider, I mean, going into a rest day, then looking at when I rode the Tour, I would never look 5-6 days ahead. I would look the next day and that was it. But you get into the rest day and you see a stage like what happened today where they start in a Category 3 climb, you know that it's going to be major, major pain at the start, no matter what you do on that rest day. And you saw today guys like Matt Peterson, Wout van Aert, Godot, a podium contender. They were all dropped. And it was basically all out time trial to make this breakaway. It was 14 guys up the road. There was a group of like 60, 70 behind them. And then a bigger group behind that dropped, trying to catch back up. So there was 3 groups chasing each other from the start. I mean, just imagine how hard and tough the day was. And to watch Bilbao, just have that poise at the end where he was super patient. The Israeli Cycling Academy rider did an amazing move. We thought he was going to make it. I was surprised to see the guys behind the second group work so well together. They were just all in. I mean, we had some good guys there with Zimmerman, a couple other guys, and Bilbao, of course. But for them to have the cooperation behind one guy is not very common. But they fought together well, and man, that a finish like that is just so stressful and chaotic. And Bilbao almost made it look easy, but I can assure you that was not an easy win.
Well, you spend your whole day out there in the break, and it's if you don't win it, you're not going to have that opportunity tomorrow or next. It's one of those once in a lifetime or once in a every few year opportunity, and if you don't win the stage, there just is no consolation for getting second. I mean, it makes it the pressure is immense, and the other thing that was immense were the temps. I mean, they were looking at 35 degrees Celsius, which I think, if I'm correct, is somewhere mid-90s. That with a day and a stage and a profile like that, the heat, the stress of the start. I mean, by the way, we're just now halfway. Yeah. I mean, this is George. You said I don't like to look at the days ahead. We're not racing, so I actually do like to look at the days ahead. I have to cover an eye. I mean, there's some monsters coming.
Yeah. What do the GC guys feel like on a day like this when they're not going to contest things, but it's hard? It's incredibly hard. What goes through their head? Are they just like, really, we have to do this?
It's not nearly as hard for them as it is for. I mean, of the 46 guys that were in the front, that means, gosh, 100 plus were somewhere off the back. Believe me, it's Vingegaard and Pogačar and all these other guys are glad that they're not, a sprinter or, somebody else that's getting dropped and out there for 2 hours by themselves. It's a lot easier for them.
Yeah, I mean, and it goes to show you how strong the sprinters are these days. I mean, for a minute there, we had Bike Exchange and Alpecin Phoenix chasing for, their sprinters, which means if their sprinters are climbing extremely well, if they have the confidence in them to make it to the finish line. And then we had this sort of weird thing happen where Van der Poel and Van Aert went off the front. Yeah. I think everybody was scratching their heads going, what's happening here? It's just such an intense day. There's so much going on, although it might not look like it on TV. Everybody's at their limit, with the exception of the probably the top two or three guys.
Now that was a big indicator to me, what you just pointed out. When you see Van Aert and Van der Poel trying to bridge and then give up and go back, that tells you how fast things are moving.
Right. And then, well, first Van der Poel sat up, and then Van Aert was out there. They were moving. But those guys, I don't know, they kind of follow each other around. I mean, it's like it's that rivalry.
Yeah.
It seems like it's forever. Not that it's a rivalry, but there's something about that dynamic. But
makes you wonder if they'll be, hanging out together in Mallorca in 25 years.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think they'll have a brotherhood of sorts.
Yeah, I feel like the breakaway rode together really well today, because we saw that those teams start chasing them down for a potential sprint. I mean, they kind of doubled down on their effort, worked together well. We actually thought they were going to get caught for a minute. So the fact that they were able to stay away, and of course they got split up towards the end, but they must have all went all in just to try to get together to the finish line.
Of course, you had Ineos start to ride because they were worried about Pello Bilbao's place on GC, but we were in the gym hitting it, and it was 2.5 minutes with 40, 50. I said, there's no way they're gonna make it. That to George's point, I mean, that's some organization to stay together, and really, you kind of have to look around in that front group and say, listen, we are all going to work. And it only takes, you get 3 or 4 guys that hear from their directors, are guys that just start sitting on. That'll ruin the whole thing. But guys just go, I'm not going to drag these 4 guys to a potential finish line and let them make a run at me. I mean, I think it's pretty rare to see that type of organization.
Yeah, and like you always say, when we're doing something and we're biking, you smell that? You smell that that momentum change? I mean, now you got a guy like Pello Bilbao in 5th place in the general classification, who's an amazingly talented rider. Now we have another guy in the battle for the podium position. He's got the momentum. He just won a stage. He's got nothing to lose. So I expect to see a lot more from Pello Bilbao in the next 10 days to go. So,
and what I told George too, when right after Pello Bilbao won, I said, this is a great day. Watch this. What team is Pello's on? What team is he on?
Bahrain.
Say it one more time.
Bahrain.
Okay. Oh, and our executive producer's name is
Cotlin.
We'll get into. I want to talk a little bit about Wout van Aert and some of the stuff they're talking about with him, but also talk about tomorrow's stage and some other things. But before we do, today's show brought to you by HVMN. Of course, they're our title sponsor this summer, the makers of Ketone IQ. They launched the world's first drinkable ketone in 2017. Ketone IQ is their latest innovation on ketones with improved effectiveness, taste, and cost. Ketone IQ delivers clean fuel that can cross the blood-brain barrier, supplying your brain and body sustained energy, focus, sharpness, and putting you in the flow. By the way, Michael, their CEO, is going to be with us in a couple days, and he's coming on a mountain bike ride. And I understand from the team, he said something, but whatever he said, George got him lathered up. Wait, George is going to go. He's going to have his legs up. He's going to be getting ready. He's ready.
I feel like
Michael, get ready.
We're really in tune with all of our partners here in the show, and the one thing Lance and I enjoy doing is suffering. So we love to hopefully make our partners suffer as well.
I think George said something like, "I hope that Michael guy's got a lot of ketone IQ for the ride." By the way, it's also now available at Sprouts throughout the United States. You can save 30% off your first subscription order of Ketone IQ over at hvmn.com/themove. Again, that's hvmn.com/themove. Gets you 30% off. Also today, brought to you by AG1. I was hammering my AG1 in the gym today, right, Liz? Actually, today's the first day I got a little late start, but I finally got around to my AG1 when we were at the gym. It is my daily foundational nutritional supplement that supports whole body health. It really is, for me, about taking control of your health. And not only is it a daily part of our regimen, so many other folks, it's incredible. I was simply tired of taking so many supplements, and I wanted a single solution that supports my entire body and covers my nutritional bases every day. I especially wanted better gut health, which is a big issue for so many of us, boost in energy, immune system support, and I wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. With every daily serving, I'm setting myself up for success with 75 high-quality ingredients. They give me all the key things I need for the day, and by the way, all for less than $3 a day. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D. Still some controversy on how much vitamin D I'm taking from AG1 from George. He's went on and,
Yeah, we need to. Can we have them write in and tell us the exact dose?
I take the whole
feel like
thing.
You're taking too
I'm not
much.
drinking the whole thing. I'm low on vitamin D, like
So
half
am I.
America. Well, then you need to take more. So you're going to get the free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase. Head on over to drinkag1.com/themove. Again, that's drinkag1.com/themove. Last one of the day, Caldera Lab. First impressions matter. There's just no two ways around it. What is the first thing that someone notices about you, right? In George's case, we all know what they notice.
The face?
The face. In most cases, as it says here, is your face, and more importantly, your skin. If you aren't already, it's time to put your best face forward. Check this out. Clinically proven, right? I'm going to say it again. Clinically proven to reduce wrinkles, fine lines, and signs of aging. Caldera Lab is the leader in men's skincare and is here to save the day. Caldera Lab creates high-performance men's skincare products, and the regimen leads off their product lineup. The regimen, by the way, is 3 things. It's the clean slate that starts and ends your day. It's the base layer. Now, that's your daily moisturizer that hydrates your skin and absorbs it fast. And the last one is the good. And that's your go-to at night before bed, and a clinically proven multifunctional serum that helps your skin look tighter and smoother. They even have this eye stuff. I know you were just dabbling that on before the show, George.
Yeah,
the icon.
I haven't been doing it in the right order. I just put the good on in the morning. I guess I got to put it on before bedtime.
Well, if you
good to know.
Listen to the show later, and I'll just tell you the order. Maybe you'll make a note. Clean slate in the morning, base layer during the day, the good at night. Just think about when you say good night to your family, good. So do the good at night. Get 20% off with our code THEMOVE over at calderalab.com. Again, that's CALDERALAB.com. calderalab.com, 20% off, and use the code THEMOVE. I had heard on the telly, and I didn't know this, and it's funny, we're halfway through the tour, and they're just now saying, which is great, that Wout van Aert's wife is pregnant and due any day. Unless I totally missed it, he has stated that once the baby is sort of knocking, he's leaving.
Yeah, I asked Johan about that too, and he just told me that after the race, he had an interview. He said everything right now is calm, and it doesn't look like the baby will be born before the end of the tour. Which is good news. We don't want a guy like Wout out of the tour. I'm sure Jonas doesn't want a guy like that out of the tour.
Jonas Vingegaard doesn't want that.
Right, that's a big hit to Jonas if he goes home.
Yeah, that would be a big hit.
Yeah, that would. Yeah. Okay, let's go back up there. We have to just a little note. Victor Hugo Pena, our teammate over at La Movida, had his birthday yesterday. Of course, we weren't doing the show yesterday, but happy belated cumpleaños, Victor.
And I'll add to that, the day before the 20th anniversary of wearing yellow.
Wow.
So he had a...
Yeah. He was a stud.
Which we personally helped him get the yellow jersey because it was during a team time trial stage in 2003, and we won the team time trial, and he was the highest overall in our team that day and got the yellow jersey. First Latin American ever to wear the yellow jersey.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing.
Speaking of historical milestones, and when I heard this today, this just goes to show you, at least to me, how much the sport is changing. If you think back, George, to our generation, we were strangers in a strange land as Americans, but the sport has traditionally been dominated by Western Europeans. It really has. Pello Bilbao's stage win today was the first Spanish stage win in the Tour de France in 5 years. That's amazing.
That is.
When you think of sort of the big five in Europe to have dominated cycling, and especially the Tour, right? You've got France, Italy, Belgium, Holland, Spain. That's it. And the first one in 5 years, it's been 99 stages. since they won a stage.
And it's not like these new 20-20-year-olds that are popping up either.
Well, they do.
Seasoned veteran.
Yeah, he's a seasoned veteran, but on the other side of the coin there, we have the 20-year-old Rodriguez, who's sitting in 4th place, I believe, and who's going to, right now is, Spain's greatest hope for a Grand Tour stage or Grand Tour winner.
And Bilbao moved way up in the GC.
Yep, now he's in 5th overall.
We'll see how that plays out. This is the second half of this tour is I mean, you could even argue that the race really hasn't. I mean, we had some great stages, but we're going to see some action.
Well, let's take a look at the profile for tomorrow, which I'm sure is going to be very welcome after what they went through today.
I wouldn't agree necessarily, JB.
Why
if
is
we
that?
put that up.
No, put it up. It's
Put it up
these
because,
days are.
look, man, those little Cat 4s in this stage of the race, they hurt. And there's teams getting more and more desperate for TV time, for breakaways, for stage wins, where directors are going to give them no option but to make the breakaway. And if they don't make the breakaway, they're going to make them chase. And then you have all these other battles going on, the top 10 in the GC, point sprints battles, points for the mountain jersey. So there's a ton of races forming within the main race, which is going to make these stages incredibly exciting to watch, and certainly not easy by any means.
And it's just they're not flat. I mean, I know these stages look. I mean, there's talk of could this be a field sprint? I mean, and perhaps it could be if there's some sprinters team that wants to keep it together. Sure. But that's even towards the second half of the race. That's just never. It's always rolling, and if the heat continues, and it's 180 kilometers. So in this day and age in cycling, that's sort of considered a slightly longer stage, believe it or not.
And you have some of the best teams in the world, like QuickStep, haven't won a stage.
Oh boy.
We don't know what's going on with Jakobsen, how he's recovering from the crash. But what are they good at? They're good at causing chaos in windy stages and having to take. So we're going to see teams like that starting to be real aggressive, I think. I know that if Johan was the director, he'd be like, it's a crosswind, we're going to the front and we're going to make some damage here. Because right now they got nothing to show for the Tour de France, and that's very rare for a team like that to not have a stage win or to be a major part of the race thus far.
Yeah.
This is where outcomes gets really good.
Right.
With Spencer and Johan, stages like this, they can throw out some favorites and some wild cards that desperately need a win, have the talent.
And and I just saw online last night, Fabio Jakobsen is leaving QuickStep, right? He came to an agreement, or said I think the quote was he had a meeting on the rest day with Lefebvre. Sounds to me like Lefebvre is just going to build this team around Remco Evenepoel, and they came to an agreement that they'll go their separate ways. So there you have a guy who I'm sure a month ago wasn't necessarily thinking that that's the way that conversation was going to go. I mean, forget the team being, yes, the team will be hungry because they really haven't done much, but now you have a guy like him looking for a contract.
And forever, if you were a sprinter like Jakobsen, that was the team to be on, right?
Yeah, I mean, I heard rumors maybe DSM, but I don't know if there's any validity to that. But a guy like that's going to get a contract, and people are going to want him.
And they could have brought Cavendish back for a year, which could have been cool. And then I don't know if you guys saw it on socials. Astana has put out that a contract exists for Cavendish for another year if he wants it. Now that's probably going to take him some time to let that sink in, but
that's not surprising. I don't think. I mean, at this, I figured they would do that, but that's not the question. The question is, does he want to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not dissimilar to the way I described that break today. It's one of those opportunities where you're right there, and there's a lot of riders that happens once in their career, and if you just miss it and you don't get the win, well, you don't get much. Cav's got to decide if he wants to go back and risk it all, and there's a lot. I don't really know how I feel on it, actually.
I mean, as a fan of Cav, I would love to see him come back and race. As a friend, I know how much he misses his family, how much he's gone from home, how hard it is these days, and how long his career has been. I mean, Cav would always make fun of me when we were teammates. Like, you've done this for like 30 years. What is wrong with you? He would yell at me in the bus, like, you're sick, you're mental. And it's funny to see him now still racing and still, not only still racing, but still winning. And we all know that nobody wants to go out like that on the ground in an ambulance. Worst way to go out.
What was your race age? Your last year?
My last year was 39.
39.
Yeah. So Johan just chimed in. Jakobsen is confirmed to DSM. So
Okay.
he is going there. He's got a contract already.
Great.
All right, a little bit of Ventum trivia. This is a good one. Both the answer from yesterday and tomorrow's question.
Oh, you did a lot of research on the answer.
I just was curious about it. Yeah.
In between riding Independence Pass, you spent the rest of the time doing research on the youngest winner of the Tour de France.
Don't look up my time up the past. But I made it. So yesterday's question from Ventum, and again, be ready for today's question because you could win an NS1, a complete NS1, which would be cool. Yesterday's question was, who was the youngest Tour de France winner ever? And I hinted that it was the early years, so probably not real top of mind. It wasn't for you guys anyway. But it was the answer from yesterday. Henry Cornet of France has the record as the youngest winner of the Tour de France. He won in 1904 at 19 years old.
Wow.
Look at this photo of him for those of you watching on YouTube.
Stud.
Look at he's got,
And again, I mean, I'm actually. He's got the toe clip pedals, which, but one gear. I don't even see the gear on the opposite side of the wheel that he could turn around for.
where are the brakes?
It's fixed gear.
You have to hold the fixie down a mountain.
Well, no, hang on. Maybe
That
he's got.
can't be
Look,
right.
no, look at his. He's got something on his right handlebar there. See that?
That may be just one brake.
That might be a one brake. And look, I mean this. Check this out, right? 1904. We've come full circle, right? 119 years later. Look at that bag, like all these. And he's got the mustache, and he's got,
coming back.
and he looks like he's wearing this. Okay,
Is that Cam?
We've figured this shit out. He's got jorts, he's got a bike bag, he's got a mustache, and he's got a fixie.
He looks like the kids of Portland want to look just like. If they saw this image, they'd be searching for that bag.
For sure, they modeled their look after this cat in 1900 whatever. You're gonna have to wait another 120 years before it's cool again. That's the bad news.
Another little fun fact about old Henry.
We should get Lance dressed up like that for the fan. What do you guys think for the fans?
I'd love to see you guys.
All right, let's try to
race
get some
on
of that
those. We should find bikes from that era.
Maybe
too.
Joe Natoli should get on that. Give me that. Just
Ooh.
give me the.
Turn you into a hipster.
Let's turn Lance into a hipster. I like it.
Joe's on vacation right now, but he said he'd check in.
Okay.
He's doing some riding. Another thing about Henry, his nickname was Le Rigolo.
Okay.
What is that?
Oh, we don't know.
The Joker.
The Joker. How about that?
Yep. Today's question, more importantly, if you want to try to win that NS1, you'll email after I give you this question. Someone dug deep. Who was Lance Armstrong's youth swim coach?
And now I do know the answer to that.
Okay. Who was Lance Armstrong? That might take some more digging to find that answer, but I'm sure it's online somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
And send your answer into trivia@ventumracing.com, and you'll be entered to win that NS1. Okay, a couple of quick questions, and we'll wrap for today. This is from Trent. It's a given that a breakaway rotates through because they can maintain a higher consistent speed by taking shorter pulls and getting moments of recovery. Then why does a team driving the peloton seem to leave a single rider on the front until they are spent, their job is done, and then they drop off and hand it off to the next guy in line? Am I correct remembering stories of George pulling for 40 plus kilometers in a valley during the tour stages? That's from Trent.
That's an easy answer. Once the breakaway gets established, yes, they're going to work together well, but they're so far behind the general classification. They're not working for time. They're working for the stage win. So they're just like I always tell my son, you never want to work more than anybody else in the breakaway or show them how strong you are. So that's the mentality of all these guys. They're just going to pull through steady just to keep enough time to make it to the finish line ahead of the peloton. Where if there's a guy like me pulling from the peloton, I'm going to go steady hard the whole time, same pace. And I'm going to keep them probably relatively easy within whatever time gap they had established with one rider. And that way you can save the rest of your team for when it gets really fast and really dangerous and really sketchy towards the end of the race.
And I'm assuming it's not that easy to rotate in and out when you've got the whole peloton, because they're not, because they're trying to get that draft too, and it's not easy to slot in.
If it's one guy in the front, you do little tricks to make the guys in the back suffer. I mean, especially on stages like this where it's windy up and down, you goose it out of the corners where the guys on your wheel are fine, but 30, 40, 50 guys back, it's getting really strung out. So one guy actually can do a lot of damage and make their race hard enough for the peloton.
And that's right. Or even if with just the slightest crosswind, right? You just take, you do have some privilege but the team that's doing the work, I mean, they let the rest of the team sit up there, and so they're not messed with. Yep. But even the slightest crosswind, you just put the rest of the peloton in the gutter and say, sorry, you all been sitting on for 2 hours.
Yep.
We're gonna just put you in the gutter for a little bit. Or the best was, boy, just through these little towns, which of course they go through so many little towns now. You just just time it and just punch it out of the corners, and it's like an accordion, right? Yeah. So the back of that accordion, all these guys that for the 2 hours before was like, dude, it's so chill today, bro. Well, then they're sprinting, and it's like 10 different sprints. It sucks.
Yeah, and it just, as a rider, last thing on this, if you're at the front doing all the work on your own, you kind of like Lance is, in a bad mood because you're like, shit, I'm up here all day, for the next hour and a half. So it motivates you and excites you when you turn around and you see the peloton like a mile long just from your work. So that kind of helps you keep going.
And did you do this legendary 40K plus pull?
Probably. Yeah. I mean, we were tasked to do a lot of that stuff back in the day.
All right. Thanks for that question, Trent. Joe writes, did Lance or George ever get nightmares during the tour before race days of poorly timed mechanicals or not being able to respond to an attack or whatever? That's from Joe.
It's with so many years of doing this show and so many questions. That's the first time
that's never been
asked.
Right.
No, I didn't have any. Shit, I had, what's the opposite? Never mind. I was no nightmares, but I rarely have nightmares. If ever.
Not really of mechanicals, but definitely and it still happens, like sliding out in a corner and you wake yourself up and you're like, oh, I'm crashing. That sort of stuff.
But do you ever have like nightmares now, like wake up thinking you need to show up and race or anything?
Sometimes,
right?
Yes, yep.
Not me.
One more fun question that's kind of related to all this. This is from Stephanie. Given how much cyclists have to suffer to train and prepare for the tour, do you think that professional cyclists enjoy the pain? Love the show. Here from Down Under. Oh, that was, it's Damon Stefani, not Stephanie. Damon Stefani in Barossa Valley.
Oh, wow.
So do you truly enjoy the suffering, the pain? You must.
I don't think so. I think it's more of a need thing. Like, especially even now for us, I think we need that pain in order to feel better the rest of the day. But when you're a professional, I'm not thinking you're enjoying it. It's just part of your job, and you satisfy your training load for that day, and you feel like you've done your job, you've done the work that you needed to do. But I don't think enjoyment never entered my mind.
It did. It entered mine. I mean, you hear a lot about folks talking about flow state, right? And I mean, there are plenty of days you just don't enjoy it, right? Either the form is not there, or you're having a bad day. That sucks. But there are days when you're in top condition and everything's going right for you, and you can sense that your competitors. That's really a big thing. Once you sense that everybody else around you is hurting just more than you. That helps the flow state, or help my flow state. I don't know. I can think of, Alpe d'Huez 2001. I couldn't have gone any harder. I couldn't have put myself any more into the hurt locker. That felt pretty damn good. I enjoyed it. But there are other days that you just, time trial to Cap de Couvert in 2003. It was the same effort. It was fucking terrible. So it just depends on it. I loved it. The other day, here in Aspen riding, we did that long day, and I could hear George breathing like an absolute pig behind me on Rim Trail. I enjoyed that. I felt good.
And then he did this to me. Road rash all over the arm, hip, knee. Just took me out.
You know what's funny is I came away fairly unscathed. For the guy who nearly died, I don't have much. It's true.
Yeah.
Send your questions into themove@wedo.team and hit up the site and check out some of our new merch. I rocked this today. I know my microphone's been blocking it, but this has the WeDo logo on this.
That's right.
This cool satin jacket. Very retro. Very retro. And you guys got the new dry fit on?
And a ton of people been hitting it up, so we really appreciate that. We got some cool stuff now. Cool. All right, we'll see you all tomorrow for stage 11. And y'all have a good day. Thanks for tuning in.